With the release of Kraven the Hunter, that took us to the end of the Sony Spider-Man-less universe. So it's time to stop and rank all six films of this 6-year cinematic universe. My name is Max Sidberg. Welcome back to Max Talk Movies. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, box office breakdown shows, out of theater reactions, and movie franchise rankings like these. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. Also, please comment down below, what is your ranking of the Sony Spider-Man-less universe? Did this go well for you? Not go well for you? Is this a path for Sony at all in the near future? Or should we stop with villain origin stories in their own movies? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. I respond to every single comment, so definitely leave your thoughts and let me have a fun discussion in the comments section down below. And also, please hit that thumbs up button. Now, I have talked about these movies a lot here on the channel. Outside of the first Venom, I have done full reviews for 5 of the 6 movies on this list. I've also done multiple Spider-Man rankings, so I'm not going to go super detailed with these, or long, I should say. I'll go detailed, but not super long with these rankings, just because I've talked about these movies a lot here on the channel. So starting at number 6 for me is a tough one to choose from, but I am going with Madam Web. And I still, for me, even though there are probably 2 movies that are on the same level as this, I didn't laugh, I didn't smile, I was totally bored during Madam Web. And I guess I have more fun watching a movie if it's laugh out loud bad than just boring, depressing kind of watches. And this is a depressing watch. Where this movie, Dakota Johnson has been very open about it, how the movie that she signed on for drastically changed when she saw the final product during the premiere. And all of these actors and the people who were a part of this have just destroyed the project. And this is a movie that I think on the page, I think the pitch was a cool idea, like a Terminator idea in the Spider-Man universe. We have Ezekiel Sims coming back in time to kill Mary Parker, who obviously was going to give birth to Peter Parker before, so there's no Spider-Man. And we have Madam Web and the Spider-Women there to save the day. That I actually think is probably not a great movie, but a lot better than what this turned out to be. This is the worst ADR work that I've ever seen in a movie, where Ezekiel Sims, all of his lines, like he's talking into the camera, and whatever he's talking is not what he said in the ADR, and whatever we're being told through the ADR is not what he's being said, and and it made for such a distracting, odd, and embarrassing experience in a film. Where Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney have proven that they're really good actresses outside of this franchise. Emma Roberts, Adam Scott, it's a very good cast. And when it tries to force in the Spider-Man stuff where she's working in the jungle with spiders, and then they're showing a shot of Spider-Man 2, I just get totally thrown off. So overall, Madam Web, while it might not be maybe the worst film of most people, it was the most bored I've been in the whole franchise, and that to me makes it number 6. At number 5 of this list is the new release, Kraven the Hunter. And this movie probably is worse than Madam Web, but at least they had more action scenes, and with it being rated R, I had a little bit more fun with the action set pieces for Kraven than I did with Madam Web. But still, this is an abysmal movie that's shockingly bad. The trailers I actually thought weren't terrible. Aaron Taylor Johnson's an actor that I've been really fighting for to see in the mainstream in a leading actor way over the last decade plus. And you have Ariana DeBose and Russell Crowe, who are Oscar-winning actors, a part of the film. And we get this, which again, another movie that seems like on the page was an interesting idea, but once again, Sony chopped this movie to pieces in the editing room. More outrageously terrible ADR work where it feels like every time there's a character who is not on camera talking, it's clearly they're changing the dialogue through editing and through ADR. It's very distracting. This probably has the worst performances of the franchise, which is weird because this probably is the best ensemble out of any film in this spin-off franchise. It's a revenge movie, and while Kraven is a Spider-Man villain, the movie gives him a code, and he just seems like Russell Crowe is his dad. We learn nothing about what his business even is. Calypso feels like such an afterthought in big chunks of the movie. You don't feel that family bond. And then I didn't think we would get worse than Paul Giamatti's Rhino in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but we have in this movie. The Foreigner feels like that character could have been plucked out of this movie, and we could have had more scenes, I guess, with Rhino, and the movie could have been better. The Foreigner felt so unnecessary, played by Christopher Abbott. This is a total misfire that really didn't work in any way. So Kraven the Hunter comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is Morbius. And if I would have told you a couple years after I saw Morbius, so 2022, 2 years ago, when I saw Morbius, that two more movies in this franchise would be worse than Morbius, I would have told you, you have to be joking, are you? And I'm not. Morbius is another movie that people, I guess, are liking more because of how bad Kraven the Hunter and Madam Web are. And everyone's like, well, I guess Morbius isn't that bad. And while it's not, as I said, it's a little bit better than Kraven and Madam Web. It's in that pile. This is another atrocious movie that also has weird scenes. You can tell so much of the movie is cut and pieced together. It's a vampire movie. This movie also has the worst marketing where it kept telling you that we're going to connect so many things to Spider-Man. There's even a line where Morbius pretends he's Venom. And the force feeding of the Spider-Man references are terrible in this movie. I've never been a fan of Jared Leto. This kind of cemented me not being a big fan of Jared Leto as an actor. Matt Smith's having fun. I love Audrey Arjona, who's also very wasted, and thankfully this has not deteriorated her career. And I think this movie has a fun idea, which is a vampire story in the world of Spider-Man. That could really work, but it not being rated R. This movie at times goes for super serious scenes, and then Matt Smith dancing in the mirror. The next scene, tonally, it's all over the place. And then the worst post-credit scenes maybe we've ever seen in a comic book movie, with Vulture showing up in prison and then being like, hey, Morbius, I heard there's a Spider-Man guy. We should team up. I mean, some of the worst post-credit scenes I've ever seen in my life, and it makes the movie even worse. So Morbius, while better than Kraven and Madam Web, it's on that level of of being an absolutely abysmal film. Moving on here to number 4 on the list, and that is, let's find it here, Venom: The Last Dance. I think this franchise ended on a whimper where I was excited for the film. You still get, I think this is a big upgrade over Madam Web and Morbius and Kraven, but this is still a really bad movie. And Venom: The Last Dance still is enjoyable at points because you get the Eddie and the Venom bromance continuing. And the third act is actually a lot of fun when it's symbiote on symbiote and it's like 20 symbiotes going on. Problem here is the first 2 acts of the movie, Eddie and Venom are doing nothing. They're on a road trip. Then they're in Vegas. It feels like we're watching a bunch of Venom short movies until we get to Venom at the compound in prison. I like Juno Temple and Chiwetel Ejiofor a lot, but their characters, especially Juno Temple, seems a lot of her scenes were cut out where it seems like she had a big arc in the movie involving her brother. That didn't do anything. The casting of Reese Ifan didn't do anything. The connection to the post-credit scene of No Way Home didn't really lead to anything. So, well, the third act, I think, is exactly what I wanted out of this movie, but also there's no villainous presence because that overall character is in the opening scene and then a post-credit scene. Noel, it just isn't a good presence throughout the entire film. And then the only reason we get to a third act is because Eddie and Venom want to do a dance number in Vegas. And even though it's a stupid scene, it's even stupider when you realize that if they didn't do this dance number, we wouldn't even have the third act. So Venom: The Last Dance at number 4. Now moving on to number 3. Sorry, 1 second here. Sorry, that was number 3 on this list. Moving on to number 2 on this list, and that is the first Venom film, which I think some people think is the best of the franchise. This is the most mixed bag film for me of the entire Sony Spider-Man-less franchise because there's a lot of fun moments in this movie with Eddie and Venom being this comedic duo. I really like Michelle Williams added into this film as well. The Venom suit looks very cool. And at times, I actually like the movie. It's just trying to have a fun time. It's not trying to be super serious and have this overarching major big plot that ends the world. I kind of like that. It's just like at times a buddy cop movie, especially in the second half of the movie. The problem is the first hour, we don't get any Eddie and Venom. It takes an hour in to get into the Eddie and Venom dynamic because Eddie's a struggling writer. Riz Ahmed's a really bad villain into this franchise. Another problem that the later two installments fixed, which was every scene with Venom in full Venom form is taking place at night. And a black suited character taking place at night just doesn't look appealing. The Venom and Riot fight, you kind of have no idea what's going on. A lot of the fights in this movie, you can barely tell what's actually happening. That's because of the lighting. That's a big problem with the film. As I said, the filmmaking isn't really good, and the villain Riot is a big misstep. So there's a lot of fun in here, but that's really with the second half of the movie. The first half, you really have to get through so much slog. And then once Eddie and Venom are together, then the film can have some fun, but it takes way too long to get there. But coming in for me easily at number one is the only movie I would recommend on this list, which is an above average review, and that is Venom, Let There Be Carnage. I have more fun, I guess, than most people. This is an okay, passable movie, but I have some fun. It's 90 minutes. Carnage is by far one of the only interesting villain that any of these films have offered. Woody Harrelson's a lot of fun. And also, the difference between Venom 2 and Venom 1 is it takes an hour, right, in the first Venom to get to Eddie and Venom. In this movie, they're together throughout the entire film. So that buddy cop movie is really in this film. And I really enjoy that. The quick nature, Carnage's prison breakout is a lot of fun. This is probably the movie that, again, realized the positives of the first Venom and took it to another level, and the negatives and kind of trimmed it down a bit. The movie is at times too quick. I don't really care about the Shriek and Cletus relationship. I do like the dynamic where Eddie and Venom are very similar and why they are a match made in heaven, while Cletus and Carnage are just not. They have goals and they use each other to achieve them. That is why I like that dynamic a lot. But still, feels like Dr. Dan feel like a waste of time in this movie. But still, it's a 90-minute fun blast. Is it a forgettable movie? It is. I've watched it 2 times and I forget still a lot of things that happened in it. But still, it's an enjoyable film. And for me, the only above average film in this franchise. So what are your thoughts on the Spider-Man-less Sony franchise? Are you happy it's over or do you want to see it continue? Let me know in the comment section, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.